We also have a for loop in Python, but it's not exactly the same as a for loop in Java. So in Python, the for loop has to iterate over something that is of type iterable. So one of the sequences, we're going to learn about other iterable things later, but one of the sequences so far, or the string, okay? So we cannot have a for loop without having an iterable for the loop to run over. No, so a string, a list is obviously an iterable, so it's one of the sequences we learned about. So we can have a for loop that runs over a list like this. Now, so when we say for x in fruits, it's very much similar to the for each loop in Java, if you remember it, or the enhanced loop in Java. So now x will take the first value of the list in the first iteration and print it. And then the next iteration, x will be the second value of the list. And then the third iteration, the x will take the third value of the list. Okay? Similarly, we can loop over the a tuple or a range. Okay? So every time, every iteration, the control variable of the loop will take one of the values of the iterable or of the sequence. Okay, so let's try this out. So let's have a list of names. Okay, so these are some names here, a list of names. Now a list is a sequence, so a sequence is iterable, so I can create a for loop for it. I can use the for keyword, and then any variable name I want to be the control variable of the loop, and then the keyword n, and then the name of the sequence or the iterable that I want to iterate over. So names is the list I want to iterate over. And then again, the colon to indicate that I'm not done yet. Okay, so let's say I just want to print the name, that name. Okay, and then just to see that we exited from the loop, I'm just gonna say print outside the loop. Okay, so what happens here, we can run into debug mode so that we can see it as well. Now I have a list in a variable called names. So once I execute this line that you can see here, the list is defined. All right, and then we start with the loop. Now the variable, this is a control variable, is in the loop. Okay, so once I start executing the loop, the name will appear, and at this moment it has the first value of in the list, which is Alice. Okay, print it. Then the next iteration, when they execute the next iteration, the value of name would be the second value of in the list. And then it goes to third value and so on. It keeps changing the value of the control variable, taking one element from the iterable at a time. Okay? And then once we are done with the list, we don't have any more elements in the list, we exit from the loop. Okay, now let's have something like we try to do something printing values from 1 to 10, just like we did with the while loop. We can have this using a for loop as well, but we can have a list of values from 1 to 10, or we can have a range. So let's say for I in range. Now, if I say range 10 like this will iterate of the values in the range would be starting from 0 to 9, right? Now, if we want 1 to 10, we can change the starting point to 1 and then the ending point to 11. So it's gonna stop right before 11, which means it's gonna stop at 10. And then we just print I. And then we'll see the values if I run it. So every iteration, the I will take a value, so we can see here. Let me put a breakpoint here so we can see it. All right, so now we are about to start executing this loop, so the I will appear. The first value in the range is 1, so that's why the I has the value 1. For now, we print it. Next iteration, when we execute the next iteration, we'll take the next value in the range, which is 2, and so on. Okay? And I'm gonna continue. I'll just remove the breakpoint and continue execute. Okay, I'm done examining the code, so I'll just continue then the rest of the program normally. Okay. Now we can have a break and a continue just like we had in the while loop. So let's say also I want to skip when it's the even. So I want to continue when it's even. Okay. So let's have a look at that. So you see it did skip. So let's just trace it for a few iterations so that we can see it. Now the first iteration, I is equal to 1, and then this condition doesn't happen, so it goes to the next. So now it's gonna print 1, and then the next value in the range is 2, so the next iteration will have I equal to 2. Now this condition is true, so we enter the loop, enter the if statement, and we continue. So that when we say next, when we go to the next step, we should go we should skip what is remaining in the loop and go to the header so that we continue with the next iteration. All right, and then 4 will be skipped the same way, and then 5 will be printed, and so on. Okay, now I'm done examining. I can remove the breakpoint and I say continue, so the program will continue running. Okay, now again also we can have a break. So a break, just exit the entire loop when executed, the entire loop is exited, same way that we just started in with the while loop. And again, here we have the else statement that we can go here. This just means that this will be executed when the loop is not did not end with a break statement. Okay, so we didn't break the loop. Okay, it's a little bit less obvious because we don't have an explicit condition, but this will be executed only when the loop ends in a normal way, okay, without a break. So if I run it like this loop breaks, right? So we shouldn't be able to see this statement printed if we run it. All right, that's what we expect. But if I remove the break or I replace the break with a continue, okay, I should be able to see it because this loop doesn't break, it continues until it ends normally. So in that case, I should be able to see it. Now, see here, the indentation is very important because you can have an else statement that goes with the if. Like if I say else like this, because this one is aligned with the if, then it is part of the if statement. Now, because this one is aligned with the for, this is part of the for statement. Okay, so we need to be careful with that.